Hi everyone. So we are building Auth APIs, right? So in this video, let's try to identify how NestJS Passport and this passport strategy is helping us to build a simple login API. I mean, I have covered it many times, but that's fine. So we are installing all these modules: NestJS Passport, Passport Local. What NestJS is enabling us? NestJS is saying is you just focus on writing your code where you are entering an email and a password in the login DTO. I will take care of the logging, validating the user and populating the session on the request object using passport. So here, this is the passport local strategy. What it is saying is local strategy extend a passport strategy. Here we are passing auth service and we are validating the user through auth service dot validate user. If user is there, return the user. So when the user is returned from the local strategy, that is getting added in the request object. Okay, so this is simple passport module. We need to register, and inside a controller we need to define something like this: use guard local. So whenever you are hitting auth local with the payload, it is using this guard to validate the user payload object username password and set the request payload with the user object. Okay, let's see this in the demo. So first we are going to take a look onto the guard and a strategy. So this is just a simple JWT guard, and I'm going to create a strategy here. Strategy only to help validating the user. So I will just call local and inside the strategy the code will look very simple. I will just explain you what this is going to do. This is we can call GWT strategy. What this code is doing, this is from the documentation. This JWT strategy will help us to extract the authorization token, which is JWT token. It will validate it against JWT secret and it will return the decode payload in the validate method. That means like every JWT token has some payload, right? JWT token. So that payload will be here. Inside that you can have a, you'll just validate user with some email ID, username or something. If user is there, return it, otherwise unauthorized exception if you are passing invalid token, right? So this is a JWT strategy, plain and simple. We are going to pass the same secret here, which we are using to create a token. So first, this is the second step, validating the token once the token is being passed. First, let's talk about auth service. There we are going to uh, enable how we are generating token, how we are validating the username password once user is entering. Before that, we can just add a login and register DTO inside auth. So login DTO, we are expecting email and password. This is how you do the validation. Min length, register DTO, password, name, bio, email is required. If you want to keep anything optional, add is optional. And these will be enabled because in the auth controller, we are passing body like this. And we are already using validation pipe. So this validation will come into picture. Login DTO, request body. Now inside a auth service, what we are going to do is simple code, which is taking the username password and checking that against the database or mock database. If it is there, then generate a token. In a register, create a user and then create a user and return a status code. That's it. So here, first of all, I will try to explain a simple auth service here, auth.service.ts. So in auth service, we are going to write a login method and register method. So here we are defining a simple auth service, injectable. This service will be injectable, class auth service. Inside a constructor, we'll be passing the author service. I mean, any service which is going to validate that this user exists or not. I will explain why we are using forward ref. And here inside this, we'll just do a login DTO. Login DTO will take a user input like email, password, and return access token and the user payload. So we are accessing author service. You can use user service, but author is the user here. Author service dot find by email. If email is there, we are just making a simple triple equals password because it's a string. We are not using crypto or any hash library. bcrypt or any library. We are making plain and simple. Here we are creating a JWT payload that contains the sub, email, role, and then we just do JWT.sign with the secret, and we return the token and the author information to the UI once we do the login. So this is a simple login API, right? We are taking login details. From login detail, you can get email. I mean, we don't even need to do this if we are using a strategy, local strategy to validate a user. But for now, let's keep it simple and step by step. From DTO, you got email and password, do the validation, create a token and return it. That's it. Now user will receive a token and user will send that token in the authorization header. In that case, this particular strategy will come into picture. It will extract the token, validate the token against the secret. If the token is valid, then it will pass the payload, a decode payload, which we are using to create a token, this token. And now you got the email. So this email will be used to validate the user or not. So we are using auth service. Inside auth service, we'll be using author service. So here I will define auth service will have this method validate user, which is using user service or author service, and which will check find user by ID. If user exists, user is active, then we'll say okay, your token is valid and you can access the platform. Okay, so before going into the auth service, I want to take a look on to the repositories. Like we have author, blog, and comment. So what are the repositories? Nothing but a simple map, JavaScript map. Here we are creating authors, multiple authors, setting their roles, because we are not talking about database. So here we are doing only the operations against simple array map. So here you can see I have a map. Here find all from, give me all the arrays, dot get, map IDs, array dot from, where this email matches, create, new author, this dot author dot set, this ID, and this is author object, right? Update and delete. So basic author repository. Now this author repository will be part of the author controller. And what is inside a controller? A simple APIs. But now creating author, updating and deleting needs token to be passed, right? That means the user should be authenticated. So in that case, we will be using these two guards, JWT auth guard and role guard. I mean, in the JWT guard, you can just check, okay, are you passing the proper token or not? You can validate the token has a valid credentials, represent a proper user session or not. Role guard, where we will check the role of the particular user. So inside author controller, we have a JWT auth guard, role guard, right? So inside this JWT auth guard, we are checking is public, return true, otherwise can activate. Because this auth guard is not doing anything, it is not validating the token and all, because we are delegating this thing to the JWT local strategy. I mean, I can get the token, all those things from the request header. We can validate, okay, token is passed or not. But we already have a strategy defined for all those things. Here you can see JWT strategy, which is extracting a token from the authorization header, validating the token and validating the user here. And the same thing will be enabled whenever you are actually using JWT auth guard. So inside author controller, JWT auth guard will do that. And role guard will actually register the role. So here we are not passing any role. Let's see if we are passing role on the delete and update. Here we are passing admin role. That means if user has the role admin, then only this operation can be performed by the user, and that we are making sure in the role guard. But for that we need to pass the role guards here. Give me a second. Okay, we are passing it at the top. So that means these guards, auth guard and role guard, both are applied to all the methods of this controller: delete, update, get, post. So for all these methods, first of all, you need to have valid token. And for some methods, if you are passing role, like here I'm passing role, that means role guard will be applied here. Otherwise, you can see inside role guard, if required roles are not there, return true. That's it. But if you're passing the role, then the role guard will be applied, and we are checking the admin role, we are checking the user role, admin role, and all. And then we are checking the permission if you are authorized to do that operation: update, delete, create, and find. So this is a simple author controller. Author controller has its own author service, author repository, author DTO. You can see create author. This is the create author DTO, right? When we are adding a new author, that means like we are creating a new user in system. Even the user controller, here inside auth controller, I have a register API. What it is doing? Auth service dot register. So here register API. Registry API is also using auth service dot create. Author service dot create. That means it's like we have a common registration system. Auth service is using author service. Auth service is using author service. Even for the validation of a user existing system, we are using auth service, but auth service is talking to author service. When we are creating a new user in the auth service, we are talking to author service, right? So it's like a dependency, and we are declaring that dependency at the module level also. Author service dot create, and we are returning a author. So this is the author service. Find all, create, if it is checking email already exists or not, conflict exception. It's a NestJS HTTP exception. If not, author.created, update, delete, and all. Basic JavaScript operation. And we are injecting the repository. So the flow is controller, service, and repository. It's like a MVC pattern. Controller is calling service, service is injected inside a controller, and then this is the author service. This is dependent on author repository, which is nothing but a set, so map of JavaScript object key value pair. So this is pretty much on the author system. Now let's try to run this thing and see how these things all are connected.